On Buoy Moorings. The successful first webinar on aids to navigation remote monitoring confirmed the Worldwide Academy consideration that technical support is much needed and also appreciated by all of you. I will first give the floor to the Deputy Secretary General of IALA, Mr. Omar Fritz Eriksson, for some interesting IALA announcement. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Geraldine, and very good morning, afternoon, and evening, everybody. There might be some microphones that are not muted, so if you please would mute your microphones, everybody. Yes, so I have some news. I will share my screen now and provide you with a presentation on this topic. I trust you're seeing my presentation here. So for some time now, IALA has been working on changing our status from being a non-governmental association to an intergovernmental organization. Currently, IALA has consultative status in the IMO, and then we have MOUs with a number of other international organizations, some of who are intergovernmental, some are not, some are just similar to us, NGOs, if you will. We would like to get to this situation where we are on the level of the IHO and as an international, intergovernmental international organization, and we will. The relationship with IMO will not change because we do that. It will just give us some more power behind our recommendations and guidelines, but we will still, as before, develop non-binding standards, recommendations, and guidelines, and we provide input to the regulatory work of the IMO. This project was initiated in 2010. There was a discussion in our legal advisory panel. And in 2014, our General Assembly decided to go down this road. The government of France decided to take the lead, and we arranged 3 preparatory diplomatic conferences, one in 2017 in Paris, in Marrakesh, Morocco, 2018, and in Turkey, 2019. And then we had the final actual diplomatic conference in Malaysia in February 2020, just before the lockdown. The breaking news is that the international convention has now been signed by the French government yesterday. It will be open for signatures for the next 12 months, where coastal states or states can sign it and agree to the content. Then they will go home and they will ratify the convention. And once we have 30 states that have ratified the convention in the parliaments, we will transform into an intergovernmental organization. So a major milestone has been reached in this process. So now it's basically just a matter of time before we have 30 states that have ratified the convention. So if you meet your minister or prime minister on the street, please advise them that they now have an opportunity to become signatories to this convention, and we can get on with this process. So that was the news from me. And apart from that, of course, I hope that everybody is well, healthy, and you're keeping your distance, and that this activity of ours, these webinars that we have, that they can inspire you, and you can learn something from the information provided in these webinars. Today's webinar is a quite interesting topic. I can see that, let me see, it does interest a lot of people. How many do we have? 74 people, so welcome to all of you. I will hand it over to Geraldine now to conduct the webinar. Over to you, Geraldine.
Thank you, Omar. This series of technical webinars is developed to address some of the specific challenges related to AIDS navigation worldwide. And each of these webinars include a lecture on such a topic. A case will be presented and you will have the opportunity to discuss or ask questions. The subject of today is buoy moorings. As during an Academy micro seminar with Belize, they informed us to have done some interesting mooring trials. And one of the aims of the Academy is connecting our members and also non-members to share expertise. So we will travel today to the Caribbean. And before we start, I would like to inform that there will be a question and answer session after the presentations. So please feel free to write your question in this chat box or raise your hand when you have a question. And after the official webinar closes, the line will stay open to chat. And I must say that last webinar, we truly enjoyed to be able to catch up with you via this means. So please feel free to stay longer. This webinar is recorded as we speak and will be posted on the Ayala YouTube channel. For now, please mute your microphone to save bandwidth, and although I can imagine that you consider yourself very handsome, switch off your camera. The first presentation is delivered by Alfred John Nainji, but we all know him as Captain John, as he is the captain of the multi-purpose vessel Marwina for about 7 years now. At Ayala headquarters, we all know John well, as he successfully completed the level 1 AIDS navigation manager course in 2016 here with us. And John taught what they can do in Paris, we can do in Suriname. So now he is a trainer at the Suriname AIDS Navigation Academy. John, the floor is yours. Thank you. John, you're still muted.
I think he changed his mind.
Yes. Yes, he's getting ready. We actually saw your presentation, John. We saw it very well.
1 minute.
Okay, here we go. Yes, and presentation mode. Perfect. You're ready to go.
Dean of IALA, also Deputy Secretary General of IALA, staff of IALA, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. In Suriname, we say goedemiddag, fawaka. Can you see me well?
Yes, I can confirm, John, that everything is okay. We hear you well and we see your presentation. Thank you.
Before I continue, I seize this opportunity to wish you all a healthy, prosperous, and above all, safe 2021. It is a pleasure and honor for me to hold this presentation on the mooring of buoys with a special focus on the practical situation in Suriname. Before I dive into the material part of the presentation, I will give you a quick introduction on what to expect on the slide-by-slide basis. In this slide, fast. In this slide, I will elaborate on, among other types of mooring components, design and installation, and monitoring of buoy's position. I have a beautiful picture here. If you look very good at the buoy and the color of the water. In fact, I have this special picture for Stephen, and also Stephen's special greeting from the Republic of Suriname. Stephen was 6 year or 7 year here, and we had he called our buoy Second World War buoy. And now these days we have some innovation, and we have other types of buoy. We try to renew our buoys. Here, I will give an expose about a West Cardinal buoy in the Surinamese River, but I will focus on the Surinamese situation in particular. The rule morning fulfill can, in my opinion, be compared to the rule the heart fulfill in the human body, because optimal working of the buoy guarantees safe passage from ship to and from the main harbors, of which the major ones are located at the Suriname River. So if the mooring breaks, it will move out its position, which can cause ship to be grounded or running into other forms of danger. In this environment, we are confronted with certain challenges, some of which are muddy river, estuary, and shallow water. So if we have very bad visibility, and also the most important thing in life, in the human body, for example, you may not see them with your naked eye. Steel mooring chain. We use steel mooring chain since from our experience, but work best in our climate and environment, which are sources in the Netherlands and in more recent year, France. So you need to select the best grades of steel that minimize wear and corrosion at one acceptable cost. These are a few high carbon, 0.2%, and manganese, 1.5% content are often specified. Lloyd U grade does not specify content, just change strength. So competent authority should set the specification of steel use in moorings. If you look at the picture, you see what wear do with your chain link. And that's the reason why you need a very good grade, a good quality of mooring chain. chain and shackle. Chain size is usually defined by chain link diameter, the D. However, different chain length may be encountered depending on supplier specification and national standards. Chain length is defined as the ratio between the bar diameter and the inside length of the chain link. So in our small republic or young republic, we don't have a company that make a chain, especially a mooring chain. So we sources our chain from France now. In the last year from the Netherlands, the Kingdom of the Netherlands, but now from the French. I hope in the near future we can get the best price of them, or maybe from the Netherlands. Chain length are from 3D till 9D in use. Before I go further, there are some advantages and disadvantages of shorter link chain and longer link chain. I will talk about them. Shorter link chain require more link and are heavier and are more expensive. Shackle of same size may be difficult to fit in the end. So shorter link chain are easier to handle with winch, and they are more wear resistant. But these are advantages and disadvantages. Longer chain link, less propense to knotting and easier to handle with hook. Longer chain link is quite easier to work with a longer chain link than short link chain. In fact, is totally depend of what kind of buoy tender do you have and so on. If I can proceed, we have here shackles. Shackles, the best thing is that the quality of your shackle and your chain must be the same. And here we have 4-lock shackle. I will talk later where of the chain you can use the 4-lock shackle. You have also the clenching shackle, bolt shackle, and screw pin shackle. In Suriname, we almost use 4-lock shackle, clenching shackle, and we want to use bolt shackle in the near future because of some challenges that we have in the riding chain, but later I will talk about it. And also we have canter, screw pin, but for buoy mooring, especially in Suriname, we don't use canter and screw pin shackle. Swivel is very important. Swivel is very important. Swivel make the buoy rotate around its axis. So without swivel, you will have problem with your mooring. And the larger the D, the heavier the chain. Mooring components. This is the heart, just as I said in the beginning. This is the heart. The strength of a chain depends on the weakest link. I will say it one more time. The strength of a chain depends on the weakest link. So these are the mooring components, starting from what we are not able to see, especially here in Suriname due to the muddy water, till the sinker. You may not see this with your naked eye, and also if you hire a diver, you cannot see it under the water. Suriname is not that prosper as other countries in the world that they can see the shackle, they can see the chain, or they can see the bottom of the river or the sea. So just what I mentioned is the strength of a chain depend on the weakest link. The mooring must be kept the buoy in position. There are a lot of forces that working on your mooring, just as rust, electrolytic action, and pollution may reduce the normal life of a mooring link. So there are a few sections of the mooring. Start from the buoy. You have a briding or tail chain, buoy with two mooring eyes. Use two equal length of chain as a bridle, and some buoy have one single mooring eye and use only one piece of chain, or they don't use of one piece of chain. The second part is the riding chain. In fact, the riding chain, the names tells us a lot. This part of the chain is moving up and down due to waves of the sea water, and also due to the wind, the current, the ebb current, the flood current, and you have also the tressoon and the ground chain.
Cole, don't put that on. I can't hear this.
Yes, you can. No.
I can't.
Yes, the challenge here in Suriname, we have a muddy seabed, and our ground chain stay for years in very good condition. The truss chain also, but we have a lot of challenges with our riding chain and our bridle chain because of wearing. They especially we use shackle to connect the bridle chain to the buoy, two shackles on the buoy, and we use also one shackle here close to the swivel, and we use also one other shackle next to the swivel. So, and the challenges that we have here is that the hammer pen that we use to secure the the shackle, we're out. We're very easy out. So what we did, we increase our maintenance schedule, but this is one of the reasons why we want to use bull shackle in the near future to find out how it is with with that shackle, with bull shackle. So we have muddy seabed, and we don't have flora and fauna to protect. So this is the ideal situation what we use in Suriname. We have one more time bridle or tail chain, use shackle to connect them together, swivel, and use also shackle to connect them together, the riding chain, the thresh chain, and the ground chain. We use here more concrete sinker, and not we don't use a steel sinker, but it worked for years very good in our environment. So the weakest part in Suriname of our mooring chain is the hammer pen of especially the 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 shackle, and that's the reason why you may you may um, lose sometime your sinker. You will get out of buoys out of position due to wear out the of the shackle, hammer pin of the shackle. We use um, the we use the round hammer pin, but there's also other hammer pin. That's the oval pin. But as I mentioned, IALA have very good guidelines, and guideline 1066 is a very good one, and also recommendation E107 is also very good, that tells you what to do, but um, also environmental, you need to know what is the best in your environment. In country where they have a sand seabed or a rocky seabed, I think the trash chain also will have a big challenge. And what we do after during maintenance is we change the ground chain on the top, and then we put the riding chain and the riding chain, trash chain as ground chain. We change it. So this is in our situation. We don't have flora and fauna one more time, so we can use steel chain, and because also our depth, we have very good experience with shallow water mooring. So chain work very well in our environment. Simplified rule for minimum mooring chain. Water depth max less than 50 meter. The minimum recommended mooring chain is 3 times the water depth. And the water depth is here the H, and the H max is the charted depth plus highest astronomical tide plus half max wave height. We don't deploy buoy in water deeper than 50 meter. We don't have experience with deploying buoy in that depth of water. But for that depth, you should use 2 times the water depth, higher than 50 meter. Consider reserve buoyancy. In fact, I will talk later on about it. You have to be very careful if you have to deploy a buoy at a depth of 50 meter or 60 meter depth. Be careful with a small buoy because you will lose your buoy, lose your moorings, and so on, and you will pollute the marine environment. So be very careful. There are other solutions for marking deploy buoy in certain kind of depth, but we will talk later about it. Shallow water waves break, shallow water moorings. That is almost what we do, and that is you use minimum recommended mooring line is 7 times the water depth, and that is what we do. But also in area, especially the sea area, where you have waves break, wear of your material, your chain, your hammer pen, you will have some issue with that. So typical mooring scope. Typical mooring scope. I don't hope I am too fast. The circular movement of the buoy about the position of the sinker at low water. So due to the tidal flow, wind, waves, you have this kind of situation. And here you have the maximum scope on low tide. Mooring state. There are 3 mooring states. Select mooring. Ideal mooring is the transitional mooring and taut mooring. You get this due to also the wind and tidal flow. Think about the ebb current and the flood current. You can calculate your maximum scope by the tangential formula. Just for information only, the caret of the formula is the caret of your mooring line square minus the water depth square. detailed technical design information only. IALA have very good guidelines, and IALA guideline 1066 is a very good guideline. I read it a few times, and especially it tells us a lot what to do. Most buoys will use transitional mooring, but if you have flora and fauna in your environment, you have to be careful. You have to use other mooring system. Heavier team, taut mooring, tethered or pile beacons may be required if the swing radius is too large. If you have a narrow river, especially where we have a very narrow river here called the Kotika River, and in that river you cannot have a buoy with a large swing radius. So you may use other type of buoy. I will talk later on about it. Forces acting on the buoy load can be calculated, also a formula, just for information, for your information only. And see also guideline.
John, you have 5 minutes left
5
because we
minutes?
have
Okay.
another speaker as well, as you know. Thank you.
Thank you. Rope, plastic, and elastic moorings. IALA guideline 1066 from nylon, polyester, polyprone, aramid, high modules, polyethylene, and special uses. This you can use in deep water mooring, and also a narrow channel. You can use this kind of mooring. In Suriname, we don't have that experience with this kind of mooring, and so on. So, and if you have also flora and fauna, this may be tools for you to use. IALA mooring calculation tool, if deep water buoy is required or tidal flow is large. IMO Kalmar mooring line calculation software. This is also a software that you can use to help you with your calculation. Installation and monitoring of buoys, buoy tender and position. The picture left is our buoy tender called the Marina. We buy it, or we get it from the Kingdom of the Netherlands in I think 24 years ago, and this is a very professional job. You must be a professional to deploy, to recover buoy, to deploy and recover buoy, and to maintain buoy. So we have a few buoys on deck, and we don't use innovative techniques as diver, floating bags. We just use positioning system to drop the buoy or the sinker on position and the buoy. Safe working procedures based on standards operation procedures only. So so far so good, no major accidents. So I think we are doing good job. Factor affecting buoy position. Accuracy of positioning fixing system. This is an example. This is not the Marina. You install sinker on sinker release position, and then you release your sinker to the seabed. But difference between buoy release position and sinker landing on seabed there can be a difference. So, but this is total depend on the sinker weight, shape, tidal flow, and depth of water, slope and nature of the seabed. We have a muddy seabed here, so we don't have a lot of problem to put our sinker on position, dragging of sinker, extreme weather, ice, tsunami. Thanks God we don't have ice, we don't have tsunami. Some extreme weather, not that extreme. Drag it by vessel, catching buoy or mooring. The key learning point for today: mooring chains comprise ground, truss, and riding section. Ratio of chain diameter to inside length should be specified. Specification of steel chain manufacturer should be decided by competent authority. We don't have, it's dependent on of your country and so on. Minimum mooring length, use of IALA mooring calculation software, 3 mooring states, slacks, transitional, and taut. Buoy position should be monitored and analyzed. I think this was my presentation, and I thank you all for your attention.
Thank you very much, John. Well done. And good that you displayed a picture of the cardinal mark to show that in Suriname, you are a center of excellence and not a war zone. Fantastic to see this. And I was also very amused to learn that you try to achieve a better price deal from your Dutch chain provider. I wish you good luck. I'm curious if you will achieve this. Our next speaker for today is Michael Jenkins from Belize, who is presently responsible for regulation of ISPS code, domestic vessel inspection for licensing purpose, and aids to navigation, maintenance, and the updating of nautical charts. The latter is where I know Michael from as a hydrographer. We meet annually at the International Hydrographic Organization regional meetings. And also Omar, the Dean of the Academy, knows the Belize team very well as he conducted a technical mission in the country a few years ago. Michael, the floor is yours. Michael, while you display your presentation, can you confirm that you are online? Let me see in the chat box if we meanwhile have a question. I saw a few questions coming in the chat box. Let me see. John, if you are online, Stephen Bennett is asking what ratio of chain length to depth of water must use for river buoys. Would you have an answer for that?
Sorry, Geraldine.
Yes, Michael.
I lost you, and I lost you, and I'm back now again.
Okay. So if you are ready to present, we are waiting so you can display your presentation and you can start immediately. Thank you.
Are you seeing it now?
Yes, I just announced you and you can start. Please put your presentation in presentation mode.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you seeing the presentation?
Yes, we see the presentation, but you can put it in presentation mode that we see it full screen, preferably.
Okay.
In the right corner below. And otherwise, you can also use it like this if you want to. It's not too much a big deal.
No, nothing else. A presentation.
Maybe you can start, Michael. It's
Okay.
okay. We can read the slides. It's okay.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity for Belize to present on our mooring maintenance procedures. I would like to thank John Naingi. Thank you. I hope I pronounced that properly for that well put together presentation and explaining much of the processes that the Belize Port Authority goes through in conducting our work here. With me, I have Zachary Young, who had conducted the 8 tons 1 management course, and he will be giving me some support in this presentation. Just to give you some background, the Belize Port Authority is the agency responsible for the maintenance of all aids to navigation within our territorial waters of Belize. The Belize Port Authority Act Chapter 233, Part 3, 3D mandates that the authority to provide safety at sea by and all necessary aids to navigation and services for the safe passage of vessels transiting or calling to the ports of Belize. Also to promulgate nautical information as it pertains to non-functioning ATONs. In our waters, the Belize Port Authority is responsible for the full functioning of our aids to navigation, and we have them categorized into the 3 main areas as primary for category 1, which requires basically immediate rectification, and maritime safety information notice to the nav area 4 for broadcasting on ship's bridge. We also have our category 2 is navigation, and our category 3. All of these are within one specific area leading up to our port facility, our main port facility, which is the Belize port, the port of Belize in Belize City. This is the specs of our access channel to the main port, and within these buoys we have both category 2 and category 1 buoys. Also, because this channel is a pilot control area, if a buoy is out of place or not unlit, we don't necessarily send a nav error warning because it is a control navigational route. The general area that these ATONs lay is considered least important. The turning basin, which is a small turn, if the buoys are out of place, we do consider that very important and requiring immediate rectification. So within this channel, there are 2 categories of buoys. This is the main pier at the port of Belize, showing one of the category 1 buoys. This buoy we use, it's a mooring chain, galvanized mooring chain, 3/8 stainless steel, shackle bolts and swivel. Basically the same design and same construction as how Suriname would do their moorings. Mooring inspections are done every 3 months, and those inspections are done by the Port Authority officers. Within the access channel, which is this slide here, the seafloor is all mud, silty mud. So the type of moorings we use are basically cement slab, which are about 400 pounds. And what we do is we use two anchoring cement slabs for each buoy. So each buoy would have two anchoring, one directly in position, and the other anchor slab would be offset for compensation to pull. We do not have um, a 8-ton tender or buoy tender, so our work is done manually. It is done with very much care because of safety issues. So we have additional U-shaped pins within the cement slab for easy maneuvering. So it is a challenge for us without a proper buoy tender. This is one of our guys connecting shackles to the slab. As you can see, the connection here is a U shape to reduce corrosion or corrosion from the two metals binding together. This is always a problem where after a while the binding of the two metals would eat out and would break. So this has to be constantly checked, and once we see too much corrosion, then we would do a replacement. The other sets of buoys within our Belize port is the category 2 or important buoys. These buoys would require also basically immediate correction if they're out of place or the lanterns are unlit. We have lateral buoys, which we use in Belize to mark our channel area, port entrances, river, and waterways. In most areas, they are fitted with a top mark and lantern colored by red or green. The area here for moorings is a little bit easier. It's not mud seafloor, but a sandy coral seafloor. So the composition of the moorings is much easier. The depth is greater to work in. So when we go and we dive, we're usually conducting work in about 45 feet depth. The water is mostly clear, but during this time, the currents is very strong. So we do have issues with the current and conducting the repairs in the reasonable time. So basically, our singers is 2 feet by 3 feet. It's approximately 600 pounds to 800 pounds, and this is for the English key channel. So these are the types of what we use and the mooring systems that we use for that area. The mooring chain, we tend to find out that the black chain there's the black chain, which is the older type, is hard to come by. And then there's the galvanized chain. You have an aluminum chain. But we find that the black chain is the best fit, the best use. It lasts the longest. You see here, we conduct our own dives and inspection. Our well-trained dive team conduct dive operation every 3 months to assess chain, shackles, and other components of the sinker. Inspections are completed in depths not greater than 45 feet. Inspections vary between 20 to 45 minutes and always by 2 divers for safety. Tasking requiring chain extension, shackle replacement can take up to 90 minutes. In the English Key Channel, the seabed is comprised of rocks, coral, sand, and other marine life that contributes to the deterioration of the chain, especially the section that would lie on the seabed on low tide. Wave action and current are sometimes strong within the channel area, so careful consideration are made when planning the inspection in certain times of the year. The other category of lights that we deal is the category 1 vital atons. These are mostly lighthouses that are on our islands or atolls. So the lighthouses are indicated by the blue circles. And our main challenge is basically the geographical location of these lighthouses compared to where our headquarters is located. So we do have a good network system with NGOs, with the Coast Guard, to relay when these far atons are out so that we can get immediate attention to these locations. As you can see in the picture here, and explain the distance of these priority atons and the cost to maintain due to the harsh environmental condition is the authorities' main challenge in the continuous function of the lanterns. Just in 2020, we did the refurbishment of the lighthouse on the left-hand side, and hopefully in the immediate future, the one on the right-hand side, we'll be able to find funding to have this structure strengthened. The light on top is working, but we need to preserve the structure, which is a very old structure. Moving on. The Belize Port Authority continues to be proactive in allocating the necessary equipment and spare parts to be efficient to reduce the downtime and in rectifying an aton that has malfunctioned. Our continued goal is to maintain the effectiveness of visual aids to navigation by having a network system in place that relays information as it relates to unlit lantern or missing or out of position buoys. 2 officers at the BPA has received the aton management course training, and now we seek for the level 2 technical course to be available for the Belize Port Authority. The department's main disadvantage is the lack of suitable buoy tender, which will reduce the dangers in conducting buoy maintenance. Our tropical environment has been identified as a significant contributor to the discoloration of our buoy and the lifetime warranty of our lanterns, something which I believe that the manufacturers of these atons should take consideration to the warranty that they are given to their products. It is recommended that any extra protection from the natural environment would extend its functionality. It has been proven that buoys without top marks would require much more maintenance time than those with. Financial constraint, especially in those times in these times of the pandemic, has caused the Belize Port Authority to prioritize our taskings, utilize and refurbish old floating buoys, and in some cases delay response. I hope this is a short presentation from Belize, but I am piggybacking on Suriname for their excellent description of how they and their diagrams of showing the mooring, which I think complements with my presentation. And thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Michael. Excellent presentation. And I am happy to see that you pointed out in your presentation that your A2N management is based on the 3 IALA defined categories. And that is actually exactly how you should do it. And I think this is a direct result of Zakaria Young, one of your team people, who attended the level 1 course in Suriname and who is an A2N certified A2N manager. So of course we are very happy to see that you use what you learned in the course in your organization very well. We now open the floor for questions, and actually we have already collected a few questions. If John is available to answer first his question. The first question for John is: what ratio of chain length to depth of water does MAS use for river buoys? So John, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
Okay. We use 7 times the for river buoy.
Yes,
In fact,
specifically for river buoys. Yes.
We use the same 7 times the depth. Yes, but we also we have a narrow river here. We don't have buoy in that narrow river because of the radius, the swing radius of the buoy. So we use almost in a width river 7 times the depth, 7 times the depth. I hope it's clear.
Yes, and then there is another question for you from Susindran V. Is there any formula for sinker weight, John?
Well, we have used for years 3-ton sinker, 2.5 ton, but I have to find out if there are any formula for that. From now, I cannot tell you exactly if there is a formula, but I have to find it out.
Okay, thank you very much, John.
Jardine?
Yes?
I think Suriname having the type of river bottom that they're mostly mud, and I believe that the mud, there's a lot of sinking of the anchor weight. So when the anchor reach the sea floor or the river floor, it goes down some more, maybe 10 feet, 20, 15 feet. And with that soft mud, there is a lot of drag from the currents of the river. So they have to compensate with that 7 times length to make sure that there is enough grab on the seafloor on the anchor. Now, as the river gets narrower or the channel gets narrower, the swing radius, if it's that same length, then there is a possibility for the buoy being a navigational hazard because it then drifts more into the navigational path. So there is a consideration there to either shorten the chain and reduce and have the risk of it being broken because of the too much strain, or just not having any there.
Yes, interesting. Thank you very much. Many people asked for the presentations of this webinar, and it's recorded as we speak, and the link will be made available on the IALA website. If you go to media webinars, then you will find the link for these presentations. There are also a few questions for you, Michael. One of Stephen Bennett is: how does the Belize Port Authority confirm the range of its marine lanterns, Michael?
How does the length of...
Please repeat the question.
Yes, I will repeat the question. The question is, how does Belize Port Authority confirm the range of its marine lanterns?
Okay. What we do when we purchase the lanterns, it comes with a specification: 5 nautical miles, 3 to 5 nautical miles, and based on that, now we take the height of the buoy or the lighthouse into consideration over the horizon, which would give additional, depending on the height you put that light, it gives you additional range. So if it's just at the regular height of about 4 feet, you're only getting the nominal range as warranted when purchased. The higher you put the light, you'll be adding on maybe half to a mile of range, depending on the height of that lantern. So basically, and then we try to get reports from the ships coming in, giving confirmation on the distance that they're seeing our lanterns.
Okay, thank you. Michael, there is another question for you. Does black chain last longer than galvanized chain, or is it just more economical to use it?
It is not more economical. It is more expensive. It's harder to find, and it does last much longer. It does last much longer.
Okay. And then we have another question for you, Michael. It's from Mohamed Hegadzi. Great presentation, Michael. My question is, the suitable coating system applied to steel structure towers in such severe environment? Do you have can you enlighten us on that a bit more?
Okay. For the new structures that we're building, we're using basically galvanized. And we do the OS4 treatment and the special paint quotation. Now, the problem we have with the older lighthouses is that they're built from cast iron, and cast iron is not readily available. That is something that we have to import. Well, we import all our steel, but that is something that is very expensive, hard to get by. But the old lighthouses are built from cast iron.
Okay. Thank you very much. This brings us to the official end of the webinar. Many thanks to all of you for joining, and special thanks to our excellent speaker experts from the Caribbean. Please note that the next webinar will take place on Thursday, 11 February. The subject is A2N light characters, how to select a suitable light character. I hope to see you there. And please feel free to stay and chat with us after the official end of the webinar, which is actually now. So the line will stay open and we can still continue to answer questions. But I now officially close this webinar. Thank you very much to all of you.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you. Omar,
Thank you.
did you see some more questions or maybe remarks that could be of interest for us?
Yeah, first of all, yeah, thank you, presenters Michael and John and